What did a crush do to make you lose interest immediately? Was on a picnic. He caught a fly with his hand. I must have looked impressed, so he followed it by throwing a shoe and hitting a nearby seagull. Weirdest freaking way to try to woo a girl. I don't know if I would call it impressed, but I've been laughing for a solid 5 minutes after reading that. The image of it in my head is hilarious. Pretended to date another guy just to see if I would get jealous, then got angry when I wasn't. Girl told me she only finds black guys and Asians attractive. A lot of people mistaken me for being Asian. I'm Mexican. Ouch, I'm really sorry, man. Thursday afternoon I asked to have a dinner and a movie date with a girl I had known for a little while. She agreed, set up a time to pick her up. Everything was cool. Friday comes and I shoot her a quick text around noon to make sure we are still a go. Yup, see you at 6. She was from out of town, so I had to take off work early and drive about 3 hours to meet her. When I arrive at her place no one is home, so I give her a call. She answers and she says she forgot and is out with some friends. Meanwhile all I hear is a bunch of her friends giggling in the background. Obviously I'm upset that I drove all the way out there for nothing, but I keep cool and said my respectful, okay, maybe next time. Hung up, drove home, called up some friends and got pee drunk. Heard later from a mutual friend that she pulls this crap all the time. Still have her as a Facebook friend and she always complains that people don't do anything nice for her. Tip for people out there, if you make plans with someone don't flake out on them. You'd be hot if you didn't dress like such a freak. Duly noted. She was a lesbian and I am a guy, so I couldn't be a lesbian. Not with that attitude. Started to tell me about how I shouldn't be depressed because she had real problems, then proceeded to tell me about all the guys she did it with. He knocked out his teeth, said he's the Antichrist and asked me to join his harem. I wish I were making that up. It's really unattractive for men to ever show emotion. Sorry, but I'm not a robot. When she tells a joke, stare into her eyes and don't even smirk. Let her drown in awkwardness. We were making out and he burped into my mouth. Yep, that will do it. We were at dinner one night. The conversation wasn't flowing particularly smoothly. The bill came and I reached for it. He thanked me and said he'd get it next time, that he had left his wallet at home. When we hugged, his wallet fell out of his coat. I saw at least a $50 bill in there. He turned beet red, quickly got into his car and sped off. This really happened. People lie about having money all the time. It's obnoxious as frick. Oh, dude, you can't cover your part of the gas. Well, I guess I trust you. Next day on Facebook, picked up the new Call of Duty and a sweet new controller from Best Buy today. I've had to literally stop giving people rides to class to get them to repay me on a regular basis. Not really a crush, but a few weeks ago, I was at the dog park and a guy came up to flirt with me. I was mildly interested until he started telling this bizarre story about how he used to have a rabbit but got tired of it and threw it out into the backyard for his Rottweiler. Then he kept looking at me expectantly, as if I was supposed to join in with my own story of murdering a house pet. I just stood there blinking stupidly until he said, "So, you wanna ditch your dog and go see a movie with me?" "Nah, I'm good." Introduced me to her son. She and I were both 14 and her son was about a year old at the time. I was talking to this girl and we had hung out a few times, kissed a few times, so I was about to ask her out after work. I parked my car behind hers in the lot and I told her after work we should stay and chat. End of work comes along and I see her at our cars as I'm walking out, but there is another guy standing with her, hugging her. Next thing I know, he is sucking her face and laying her down on the hood of my car. Ben, you mother. Oh well, I'm in a better relationship now. 1 year next month. Frick you, Ben. Being a flake, I was going to meet up with a girl at a bar one night. Drove all the way across the city Los Angeles, so it's not a quick drive. When I got there and didn't see her, I called her. No answer. I texted her. No answer. I hung around for a little while until she finally texted me back telling me that she left. I did not try to see her again. Well, I did and she flaked some more and then I finally stopped. I was not a confident man. My freshman year of college, I had a huge crush on a guy in my intro programming class. We sat beside each other, and while I could complete the exercises easily, he was visibly struggling. So I offered to tutor him after hours. He got upset that a girl was better at computer stuff than him and dropped the class. I'm sure dropping the class made him better at computers. It wasn't our first date, but our first date at a restaurant. He was intolerably rude to the waiter. The waiter never even did anything wrong. He was just treating the poor guy like a worthless slave. Left date at restaurant and never called him again. I feel like waiters have seen so many dates crash and burn. I still cringe when I think about embarrassing things dates have said or done, and the waiter is making eye contact with me like, what are you doing, girl? Got asked out by a cute guy wearing a leather motorcycle jacket, probably mid-20s, while I was waitressing. He was taking his dad out to lunch at the time. I thought, oh how nice, tough and sensitive. He picked me up for coffee, showed up with a Hannah Montana t-shirt, spent the first 20 minutes talking about how he was homeschooled and loved that he still lived with his parents, and how hanging out with his mom was better than going to college. Dang, did I read that vibe wrong? When I was in the 3rd grade, I had a huge crush on this guy named Robert. We went to Scotland for a school field trip, and I asked if I could buy him a soda. He said no. I was hurt, as any 8-year-old girl would be, but a half hour later, I saw he had bought this girl Ali a soda. I'm pretty sure I ran into the bathroom and cried. Anyways, I found my elementary school diary a few months ago and saw an entry I wrote from this night. All it said was, Robert loves Ali. He doesn't love me. I am heartbroken. He got his hair cut kinda short and I discovered a huge, fleshy, hairy, pink mole. It was so gross. I was like 16 and I avoided him until his hair grew back. We're married now. She said the words, I just want to find a nice man so I don't have to work anymore. I abandoned ship so fast. Played games. Games as an acting hot cold. Instant turn off. Dated this guy for a while and finally got meet his family stage. I was pretty excited. Soon as we went to his grandmother's he immediately acted rude and disrespectful to her and plopped down on the couch to drink beer with his equally disrespectful grandfather. Needless to say I left. That poor lady. She hung up on me. I was 14 and had pined after her for about 8 months. I had joined the choir to get close to her. I had started playing the motherfucking violin so that I could be in music classes with her. I was in love with her, and she knew it. Okay, so I made it kind of obvious, but I was trying to work up the courage to ask her out. We were friends, and in the same social group. Unfortunately it had become a bit of a standing joke. Has Danny asked her out yet? But the week before the school dance I finally grew a pair. I call her up and the call goes like this. Hi Kate, it's Danny. Oh hey, you know the dance coming up next week at school? Yeah, well I was wondering, are you going? Yeah I think so. Would you, like to go with me? Click. She hung up on me, and it broke me down. It took me a week to ever be able to speak to her again, and took me years to ask another girl out. On the upside, at our 10-year school reunion she actually apologized for handling it so badly. I told her that I'd forgive her if she'd dance with me, and she did. TLDR. Finally got the dance with a girl who broke my 14-year-old heart. When I saw him flirting with another girl the same way he had flirted with me. He said he didn't like girls with big boobs. I have big boobs. I figured that was a sign he wasn't interested. This guy I used to work with was always talking crap about how he wasn't into fat chicks, then seemingly began hitting on me. I was very confused. I was at least 80 pounds overweight at the time. He made out with another girl in front of me when he knew I liked him. That wilted my lady boner pretty fast. I was a guy, and boy was I sorry. Wasted on New Year's Eve, and long story short was grabbed and made out with in the dark by someone without thinking. I went with it. Lights come on, and it wasn't the right person. Hoary I kicked my cat and said I hate cats. Well, get the frick out of my house then. Asked me to tutor him in calculus, then at the tutoring time tried to fire up his online midterm to have me take the test for him instead of actually learning the material. Frick, that crap. I love to help people learn. Was amazed at how many people think that it is acceptable. They always get P and keep repeating just give me the answer mother suckers. I am here to teach you how to fish, not to open a goddamn free fish stand. Played hard to get and acted like I wasn't good enough for her. Then when I gave up she started flirting with me, even going as far as to send me nude photos of her. Anyone acting that desperate after telling me I wasn't good enough is a big no in my book. Was asked out by a guy, was interested, so we started making plans to go get dinner that night. I asked if he liked Thai food, he said no, but he really liked to try new things. We get to the restaurant and he doesn't order anything, just sits and watches me push my food around my plate because now I feel way too uncomfortable to eat either. I went straight home after. I don't get it. We could have done literally a dozen other things to go out and get to know each other that wouldn't have ended in him proving himself to have either no will of his own or be some kind of martyr to my refined palate. This right here is the definition of awkward. My neighbor is a very nice and handsome man. He's the first man I found attractive since my big breakup. Well, a couple of days ago, I met his boyfriend. Honestly they look very good together. He made fun of the way a deaf kid sounded when he was speaking. As someone whose siblings and my mom are hearing impaired, I just couldn't get over it. Showed up rolling on Molly to our first official date. It was a Tuesday. Like a champ. Got approached at college by a very attractive guy who wanted my number. Not exactly a crush, but he was super hot. He started texting me later and spelled made one word correctly per text. No thanks. I can't help reading things out in my head, and when you talk and lick this I just can't take you seriously. It sounds like baby talk in my head. I just replied to all of his texts civilly and he got tired of me not flirting and gave up. So back in middle school, I had a crush on this girl named Sarah. We talked a few times, nothing serious happened. Then one day, at recess, she went up to me and said, "Hey, can I tell you something?" So I said yeah, half expecting a compliment. She then replied, "You are ugly." Let's just say I didn't like her anymore. He laughed when a friend told him that a mutual friend of ours was in an abusive relationship. She came to work with a black eye. That made him laugh. As someone who has been in an abusive relationship, it wasn't very amusing. She was going to a party and I said, "You seem pretty unenthusiastic about going." She replied with, "Don't use big words." A lot of people mistake having a large vocabulary for being pretentious. I used the word dilapidated once and my friends never let me forget it. Well, in first grade we had a bring a rock to school day. It was for first grade science. We were gonna draw on the sidewalk using the rock scratchings. Naturally I, being the best and brightest in my class of nose-picking giddy faces, brought the best looking and sharpest rock I could find in my backyard. I made the mistake of showing the cutest and smartest girl she could tie her shoes my awesome rock from the metal gods. She had brought this round pathetic rock. Anyways, when the time came to go outside for our little project, that devious cootie breeder told the teacher I had stolen her rock. Even brought out the fake tears. So despite my protests I got stuck with her pathetic excuse for a rock, and she got my highest percentage of all rocks rock. B man. Went out to dinner with friends and she was a B to the staff. Didn't even chip in on the tip because they don't work hard enough for my money. Try to use my interest in her as a way to convert me to her Pentecostal sect. Doesn't matter, joined sects. Started to like me back. Use CM instead of calm in a casual conversation. I'm thinking your crush wanted your relationship to beckon more than casual. She told me about her fantasy of wanting to kill her dad by cutting off his balls and watching him bleed to death. Well, it's not like it was your dad or anything. Replied most texts with OHH that's cool or some other combination of words that added nothing to the conversation. And I had common friends with her so I knew she was interested. I have a similar situation right now. It sucks. She got with a guy who was even a better match for her than I was. Like this video and this good boy will play you a nice song. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.